Good night, Dundo. We would like to open this meeting with a word of prayer, and we welcome our very own Dawn Attorney.
Good night, everyone. I want to welcome our leaders, our supporters, our members, but I want to say a very welcome to the people of St. James North, and especially the people of Dundo in St. James. Shall we pray? Almighty God, I come before you today with a grateful heart, seeking your wisdom and guidance as we gather to start this meeting. I thank you for the opportunity to serve our communities and to engage in the democratic process. Lord, bless this meeting and all those who are present. Grant us clarity of thought, unity of purpose, and respectful dialogue. May our plans and discussion be rooted in truth, integrity, and a genuine desire to serve the people with justice and compassion. Help us to listen with open arms and speak with respect. Let fairness guide our actions, and let peace be the foundation of our decisions. We ask for your continued blessing on our leaders, our country, and all those who strive to make a difference. I ask all these mercies in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Donna. Good night, Dundo. It is good to be home in St. James North, and better yet, to be home in my own neighborhood. Welcome, everyone. We are here to promote and support Chad and the Barbados Labour Party, and in turn, ask you to come out in your numbers to vote for Chad Blackman on May 21st. I have had the pleasure of working very closely with Chad over the last year, and I can tell you that there is nobody that is better suited for this job. There is nobody better suited to represent St. James North. Chad shows a level of commitment to everything that he does. He is somebody that when you go into the office at 8 a.m., he is already there. When everybody is looking to pack up at 4:30, he is still there, and he continues to work until everything is done. He brings a level of dedication I have never seen before. And then he brings that same dedication to the community and to the people of St. James North. As I walk the streets with Chad over the last year, and we have met and greeted persons and shared in fellowship in church, the kind of love that I have seen him show to the persons in St. James North, I don't think words can express. He is determined to uplift everyone in the community. And there's nobody who asks him for help where he is not trying his hardest to help. Sometimes he would say to me, Stacy, we gotta help this person. We gotta figure out how to help this person. And that is the kind of person that Chad is. He has been a benefit to Barbados, and I'm sure he will be a benefit to the persons of St. James North. And I hope that the way I've come to know him, that the persons in this community will come to know him when he is elected on May 21st as a representative. I'd like to introduce to the stage the Member of Parliament for St. Lucie, Mr. Peter Phillips, as he comes to address you.
Chad. We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion.
Good night. Good night to the people of St. James North. Good night to the people of Dundo. Good night to the people in the communities all around this area tonight. And good night, of course, to all of you who are here in support of Chad Blackman. We have come tonight to be able to speak to every one of you during the course of the past couple of days. You would have seen us in and around all parts of this constituency. And we are here tonight because May 21st is a very, very important day. May 21st is a day of decision. May 21st is a day when you, the people of St. James North, watched by the rest of us from St. Lucie, St. James Central, St. James South, St. Michael, all over this country, you will be making a very important decision. And we are here tonight in a crusade towards that process. I want to speak specifically tonight about the man who we are bringing before you, who we have nominated, and the man who we are expecting to carry with pride and with dignity the mantle as the representative for the constituency of St. James North, Mr. Chad Blackman. I have known Chad for many, many, many years. Indeed, before we entered elective politics, as I've shared on a couple of occasions, we belonged, it was Chad, myself, and a number of other persons like Corey Lane, like Rommel Springer, like Kimar Safri. All of us belong to a group starting back in 2013 or so that we call Tomorrow's Parliament. At that time, we would meet every week and we will discuss the issues of the day under the then Democratic Labour Party administration. And we will share. At that time, none of us perhaps were even thinking of elective politics. But it was in our bones. It was in our blood. We wanted and we knew that Barbados needed a better way. And so we joined this great party, the Barbados Labour Party. And we made our contributions in separate and in different ways to be able to be where we are today. I was the first one to step forward from that group into elective politics. Chad is about the third one of us who have also come forward to contribute to Barbados. And we recognize that more than ever, Barbados needs people like us and some of you in this audience tonight to be able to come out. It's not just about talk. You need to step forward and make that contribution. We are here tonight to start the process of speaking to you, the people, and for electing Chad Blackman to the House of Assembly to serve this constituency. They say he's a big man. I can tell you tonight, Chad is not just a big man in size. He's a big man in his action, in his vision, in his passion, in his thinking. What he wants for the people of St. James North. What he wants for Barbados. Chad is a man of action, a man of compassion. For over 15 years, Chad has been working on the behalf of his people. I knew Chad when he belonged to what you would know as Community Independence Celebration, when he served as parish ambassador. So Chad didn't just get up a morning and say, I going down here and I gonna run for politics. He had that ability. He had that drive in him from way back then. And so I can tell you, the people of St. James North are indeed blessed. You are blessed to have someone like Chad Blackman to represent you come May 21st, 2025. Chad is committed And the meeting tonight is not about me. It is about Chad Blackman. It is about the Barbados Labour Party, what the Barbados Labour Party has done for this country. You know where the Barbados Labour Party has taken this country from. And it needs people like Chad Blackman to join in the fight to continue to push this country forward. That is absolutely important. People with the talent, people with the skill, people with the know-how, people with the commitment to step forward and to push this country forward. And so, ladies and gentlemen and people from Dundo, I am asking you, you have seen what the Barbados Labour Party has done. You have seen what has happened in St. James North over the past 7 years when we became the government again. We are not going back to those dismal, desperate days. We are not going back to those days at all when you had to, you mothers who had your children who were in university, and you had to then, all of a sudden, you had to look for fees to pay so that your child can be educated. You had to make that choice. If you had 2 or 3 children who were able or who were in university, you had to make, there came a time when you had to make the choice, am I going to send Susan or am I going to send John? We are not going back to those days. So you have some that are moving around, running around today. All of a sudden, everything is wrong with Barbados. But they did not have, and they do not have, any solutions whatsoever. I want to urge you to ensure that you strengthen the hand of the Barbados Labour Party in government by electing Chad Blackman as your next representative on May 21st, 2025. From morning till night, from dawn till dusk, go out there and let me tell you something. Now, don't say he done win already. He done win already in a vote. You need votes. You need votes. You hear me? You need votes. And I want Chad to win as big as he is. So let the votes represent the size of the man who you are voting for. That's what I want to urge you, the people of St. James North. Now, I am from the neighboring constituency in the furthest north, St. Lucie. I will do my part throughout the course of this campaign to ensure and to encourage you, the people of St. James North, to go out and vote. I can't cast a vote anywhere in this constituency on May 21st. You are the persons. You are the persons who have to do it. You do it based on the record of the man we bring to you, we have brought to you as a party. You do it based on the ability of the person who we give to you. You do it based on what the government thus far has done in this constituency and all across Barbados. We are still stabilizing this country from the wreck that was left by the Democratic Labour Party in 2018, between 2013 and 2018. Yes, you may have issues. There's still things to be resolved. There's still things to be done. The work is not yet over. The work is not yet over. We still have things to do. And we are asking that you continue to give us that opportunity. Strengthen our hand. Strengthen our hand to be able to move forward. St. James now, Barbados now, more than ever, need the Barbados Labour Party to continue in government. You need a leader like Mayor Motley to continue to be our Prime Minister. You need people from the various constituencies like Colin Jordan. You need people like Corey Lane. You need people like Rommel Springer. And you need people like Peter Phillips too. To continue to work on the behalf of this country. I do not mind. I often hear a lot of nonsense. And I call it nonsense because when you listen, and I don't want to talk about them tonight because they're gonna upset me. I'm talking about the Barbados Labour Party. I don't want to talk about anything about the Democratic Party, but I gotta mention them. I have to mention them tonight. You listen carefully. A party that is still in confusion. A party that is asking you to support them when they're not even supporting themselves. Use your proper judgment, as I said to you. Do not say that we have already won. Do not say that St. James North is safe. No seat is safe. It is only safe when you go and you vote. And I want you to go and vote in your numbers. Think of the social programs that the Barbados Labour Party has brought. Think of the programs. Think of the fact that once again, remember you didn't get a government and you didn't get an increase in salaries for several years. In short order, we have given you 2 or 3. We have given you that under the Democratic Labour Party. You didn't get anything so. We have bought new buses. We got 30. We got 30 as a gift a few weeks ago. We have bought garbage trucks. We have restored that which was taken from you by the Democratic Labour Party. And we are deserving. St. James North is deserving of a man like Charles Blackman with his skills and his abilities, who is able to assist you, the people of St. James North, and assist the administration in moving forward the hand of the Prime Minister. My friends, tonight, May 21st is a very important day. It is extremely important. A lot of people say things in terms of voting, but let me tell you something, young people. If you have not voted yet in your life, May 21st is the day to vote. Make it the first day that you vote. I was anxious to vote back a couple of years ago. I don't want to tell you those years because they will tell you my age. Back in 1986, my first time that I was able to vote, and I look forward to that day. But you know what? They had me, I was in the polling station working on the behalf of the Barbados Labour Party back in 1986. It is important, it is extremely important that you make use of the opportunity that you have. Be on the winning side. Be on the side of the Barbados Labour Party. Be with Charles Blackman when you go there and vote on May 21st, 2025. I tell you, from morning till night. And not only you, I want you to go and knock on the door of your neighbor. Call your friend and tell them we are going to make things right. We are going to continue the legacy of the Barbados Labour Party on May 21st from between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. Do not wait. Do not wait. Do not wait till 6 o'clock. And if you're going to work, I would advise you, go and vote first. Then go on to work. Because you never know what could happen in the evening to prevent you from casting your ballot. And it's extremely important. And people talk about democracy on trial and all of that. But this is a democracy is not on trial. You have the opportunity to go and exercise your right. Look at what has happened in this country, how this country has moved forward. Consecutive quarters of growth in this economy. We do not want to return to those dark days. We want to keep the ball rolling. We want to continue the legacy of the Barbados Labour Party in this constituency. And I'm urging every one of you first-time voters, get out and be proud to cast your vote on May 21st. Get out and be proud to cast your vote. You're voting for a committed man. A man, when he gives you his word, I've had the opportunity to canvass with Chad and the team. in Crick Hill. And when Chad gives you his word, you can take that to the bank. He means what he says. He's not just a man of words, but he's a man of action. He's a man, if he tells you yes, it is yes. If he tells you no, it is no. A lot of people don't trust politicians, as they say. But the Barbados Labour Party, all of us, you can count on us because we are led by a lady who asks us and tells us that we must keep faith with the people. And so when we tell you X, that is what it is. If we can't do it, we have to be honest and let you know a government can't do everything. An MP can't do everything. Some things you can fix now. Some things you have to say, hold on. And other things you have to say, look, that cannot be done. That cannot be done because you have to think of country and you have to think of so many other factors sometimes. But you can count on us that when we give you our word, that is what it is. And I want to tell you tonight, as I close, you can count on Chad Blackman, St. James North, a hard-working man, a committed man, a dependable man, a man of action, a man who is able to lift this constituency, a man who has ability. He represented Barbados on the international scene. He represented Barbados at the regional level. He represented Barbados all the time. In whatever sphere you wanted, Chad is able to do it. And I'm asking you, the people of St. James North, to give Chad Blackman the opportunity to be your next representative. Let him be added to the numbers of the Barbados. If you don't mind, people will tell you all sorts of when you need an opposition. You may need an opposition less, but if you need an opposition, you need an opposition to work, though, not to warm benches. So I say to you tonight, people of St. James North, it's a big man, a hard-working man, a dependable man, a man of action, a man who is able to deliver to you what this government has promised all the rest of Barbados, a man who you can trust. And Chad Blackman, go out in your numbers on May the 21st from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening. Every vote, when you look, Chad Blackman, I will be listening. Indeed, I will be there at the counting station. And when the votes are counted, and when the announcement is made, I want to hear Chad Blackman, Chad Blackman, Chad Blackman, Chad Blackman, Chad Blackman. Big man, big passion, big vision. People of St. James North, it is all in your hands. It is all in your hands. And I am counting on you. I know that you are able to do it. I know that you will do it on May 21st, 2025. You will vote Chad Blackman as your next representative in the Parliament of Barbados. Good night. God bless you.
Chad, Chad, Chad. We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion.
Good night again. And my apologies, I did not introduce myself. I am Stacy Medford, and I am a resident of Dundo, St. James. I have lived here all of my life, and that's why it's such an honor to be here tonight for the first spot meeting for these by-elections. And as most of you would have probably come down this road or up this road, you would see the work of the Barbados Labour Party. A new road for Dundo has been long in coming. I cannot even remember when, because I've lived here all my life, and I cannot remember when last the road was smooth. But thanks to the Barbados Labour Party, we now have a completely smooth road from the top of Dundo to the bottom of Also, thanks to the Barbados Labour Party, coming on June 1st would be an increase in the minimum wage for workers. As everybody has been speaking about the cost of living and the cost of groceries in the supermarkets, I'm sure that that is an unwelcome announcement to most. So bringing to the stage to speak to you more on that is the Minister of Labor, Social Security, and the Third Sector, Colin Jordan.
Good evening to Dundo. Good evening to Dundo. Good evening to St. James North. I bring you greetings from next door. Greetings from the constituency of St. Peter. St. Peter and St. James North over the years have really worked well together to be this big support for the Barbados Labour Party. And the Barbados Labour Party has been good to St. James North and St. Peter, the north of this country. And more recently, we have added St. Lucie. But it's good to be here to talk to you this evening about a man who will represent you well in Parliament once you give him your vote on May the 21st. Once you support Chad Blackman on May the 21st, you will be sure of getting the representation that you've enjoyed and maybe even better representation as you move forward. I really must begin by thanking your outgoing Member of Parliament. And I'll tell you why. When I became the candidate for the Barbados Labour Party in St. Peter, things were a little bit rough. But Mr. Hinkson reached out to me and kind of held my hand a little bit as we were navigating. And we have worked well over the years. Worked with our schools, we worked together. And St. James North has been a faithful partner to St. Peter. And that is why I'm here tonight to say to you that I am absolutely sure that that partnership will continue. That partnership will continue once you elect Chad Blackman to be your representative, your next Member of Parliament in the House of Assembly of this country. I know Chad Blackman pretty well. You know, I've been canvassing for the past few days, and when I go to houses, I say to them, well, you expect me to say that Chad Blackman is a good man. I come in a red shirt, sometimes with Chad Blackman name on the shirt. So you expect me to say so, right? Because I'm a politician and I belong to the Barbados Labour Party. But ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that I have had the privilege, not just the opportunity, the privilege of working with Chad Blackman. When Chad Blackman, at the age of 35 or 36, was appointed as our ambassador to Geneva, as the Minister of Labour, I had the opportunity to engage in Geneva with the International Labour Organization. And Chad was the ambassador up there. And I can tell you, as I engaged with the organization, as I engaged with the other ambassadors, some of them nearly twice his age, the level of respect that those experienced people had for Chad Blackman was amazing. Testament to the kind of man who is about to become your Member of Parliament. A man who is respected. A man who is dedicated to the task. I saw it with my own eyes. A man who is dependable. A man who is committed to all that he does. And I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know that when Mr. Blackman, when Chad's term as an ambassador ended, You know what happened? The International Labour Organization went after him, and the top man there, the Director General, hired him. You know, the Prime Minister had to thief him back because he was too good for us to leave up there. And so we brought him back. But that is the nature of the man. That is the man that I know, a dependable, committed man. Every time I go to Geneva, the people at the ILO ask me, how is Chad? How is Chad? How is Chad? We miss Chad. That is the man who is offering himself to be your next member of parliament. That is the man who I have the confidence you will vote for on May the 21st to become your next representative in the House of Assembly of this country. But you know, as the minister responsible for labor, I must say to you, and you must believe me when I tell you, that this government has been hard at work for the people of St. James North and for the people of Dundo and Sion Hill and Bakers and Upper Carrollton and Lower Carrollton, all around this location, hard at work. What we have been doing over the past years, there are a lot of people in this community who work in construction. The Barbados Labour Party has established in the legislation a minimum rate of pay that when construction companies engage with government, in other words, when they have contracts that your taxpayers' money are funding, they cannot pay their workers less than a certain amount, and they cannot employ them under a certain level of conditions of work. That is what the Labour Party has been doing for Dundo, the workers in construction in this community. The Labour Party also recognizes that St. James North has a lot of people, including people from Dundo, who work in the hotel sector. A lot of people in these communities, in your community, work in hotels. And this Barbados Labour Party has passed a bill in Parliament and has established a certain level of wages below which no hotel, no apartment hotel, no big hotel, no small hotel can employ any of you and pay you below a certain amount. That is what the Barbados Labour Party, a Labour Party that includes Chad Blackman in the cabinet, that is what the Labour Party has been doing on your behalf for the people of Dundo and for those who live nearby. The Labour Party also recognizes that there are a lot of people who, because prices were rising, were finding it difficult when they're going to the supermarket. You know what I'm talking about? You're going to the supermarket and the prices, sometimes they feel as though they're going up and going up and going up. And you know, as people say about the pain going up. But I want to remind you, if they're the public officers who are here tonight, and I know some of you are not wearing red, and that is fine. You don't need to wear red tonight. You need to put your X by Chad Blackman on the 21st. But when we came into office, the Dems, a wicked, despicable bunch, and I don't use strong language, but the Democratic Labour Party, in my life, I think the strongest language I have used. Most people know me to be a quiet, nice fella. But the Dems have caused me to use some language because I am convinced they don't care nothing about people. But for 8 years before we came into office, the Democratic Labour Party refused to increase the wages, the salaries of public officers. Refused. And then they told the children of the public officers, if you can't find $1,200 or $1,500 or how much of it was, you can't go to university no more. This Barbados Labour Party came into office and immediately, even though the country had very limited money, because some of you will remember that one of the first things we did was to default on paying debt. The Dems lick out all the money, left nothing in the kitty. Nothing in the kitty. We had to default as soon as we came into office. But we believe so strongly about the public officers who live in Dundo and the public officers who live in St. James North that immediately we gave a pay increase to the public officers of this country. That is the Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman is a member of. That is the Barbados Labour Party that Chad Blackman wants you put your ex the right place on May the 21st. Will be able to continue this great work. This is also the Barbados Labour Party, ladies and gentlemen. This is also the party in government that for the first time in the history of this country, the first time in the history of Barbados, established a national minimum wage. This Labour Party in 2021 determined that the people of this country, the workers of Dundo, the workers of St. James North, had to be able, when they go to work, to earn a wage that was decent. Something that you can go into the supermarket and buy a few groceries, enough to keep you going and help you to raise your family. That is the government that Chad Blackman is a member of. We established for the first time in Barbados' history a national minimum wage, $8.50. And for security guards, $9.25. Because we realize that security guards in today's Barbados have a little bit of an extra challenge, and I'm sure you would agree. Security guards are at higher risk, and so we had a special rate for them. But ladies and gentlemen, as we announced on May Day, we expect on June the 1st not to leave the minimum wage, the national minimum wage, at $8.50 and $9.25. But we expect that for the people of Dundo, for the people of St. James North, that minimum wage will be increased to $10.50. And the wage for security guards, $11.43 per hour. That is the Barbados Labour Party. That is the government that Chad Blackman is a part of. And that is the reason why you have, ladies and gentlemen of St. James North, you have to vote for that big man with that big vision. Because that vision is part of the Labour Party vision. That vision is part of the vision that will see continued development in this country. Chad is a young man. Chad is a young man. But I have to tell you that I have seen Chad operate with a level of maturity that belies his age. I have seen Chad Blackman interact with people at all levels, not just of this society, but internationally. And you know, there is this saying about people who walk with kings and don't lose the common touch. You have ever heard that statement? Chad Blackman epitomizes. Chad Blackman is the embodiment of that statement A man who is able to walk with presidents, prime ministers, all kinds of people, and does not forget his roots. He does not forget from whence he has come. He does not forget that he is an ordinary fella who went to school at Vauxhall. He does not forget that he is an ordinary man who has been given maybe extraordinary talents, but who is committed to using those talents on behalf of the people of St. James North, the people in Dundo, the people in Upper Carrollton and Bakers, the people of St. James North, and the people of Barbados. We have before us on May the 21st a decision to make. People of Dundo, residents of Dundo, you have a decision to make on May the 21st. You have an important decision to make. The members of Parliament, those who sit in the House of Assembly, help to constitute the cabinet and the government. We want good people in the cabinet. We want good people in government. We want sensible people in government. We want dependable people in government. We want honest people in government. And I have to say that because I don't want you to forget about the Dems. Peter said he ain't talking much about them. I'm not talking much about them either. But you must not forget thieving people. If thieving people come around you, if you got things in your back pocket, you just put your hand in your pocket to make sure they don't put their hands in it to pick your pocket. So I don't want you to forget that. But when you have Chad in Parliament, you will have an honest member of Parliament. You will have a dependable member of Parliament. You will have a humble member of Parliament. I am calling on all of you from Dundo, all of you from Upper Carrollton, all of you from Bakers, all of you from Westmoreland, all of you from St. James North. On May the 21st, you have a choice. You have the privilege of being able to elect a decent, hard-working, dependable man as your representative in the House of Assembly of this country. Go out early. Go out confidently. Cast your vote for a big man with a big vision, with a big passion, a man who will represent you well. You have a good man in the form of Chad Blackman. Good night. God bless all of you.
Yes, we want she, me a Motley. Yes, we want she to lead we again. Yes, we want she, me a Motley. Yes, we want she, come sunshine or rain. So we voting again for she, we voting me a Motley. We voting again for she.
Thank you, neighbor, Member of Parliament for St. Peter. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to do tonight, and we're going to be very quick as we bring persons to this podium. But I want to say to you tonight, you know the record of the Barbados Labour Party. The Dems seem to have a problem with women. But the Barbados Labour Party has women in it with talent. Not just our leader, but several of them. And I'm going to bring the next speaker to you. It's one of those ladies who represents St. James South. A lady of talent, diverse talent, I must say. She's going to come and address you tonight. The Member of Parliament for St. James South, Sandra Husbands.
Thank you very much, Peter. And I want to say a wonderful, warm good night to the good people of St. James North. Good night, St. James North. All right, you sound in good heart. All through this constituency, I have felt such an energy in this campaign, and that energy has just caused people around us to just come alive. They're ready to get involved. They're ready to move things forward. And the reason why they're excited about this campaign is because of the type of candidate that we have brought before you to represent you. We have brought to you Chad Blackman, a big man with big plans, vision, passion, a man who is going to take St. James North forward, and it is our privilege, it is our honor to be able to represent him to you. Now, when you are selecting candidates and when you are running a party, you want to find people who have a common vision and philosophy. They share a common vision and philosophy. And the Prime Minister, when she had the opportunity to get to know Chad and to learn Chad, she said, this is a young man that has the Barbados Labour Party DNA in his system. And how do we know that? From the time Chad was 18 years old, he was a member of the League of Young Socialists. From early, he had a passion for people living their best life. He not only was a member of the League for Young Socialists, Chad was also a member of the Barbados Youth Parliament because he wanted down in the future to be able to learn how to represent people and to become a part of the political process. So when Chad was planning his life, he did not wait until his middle years to suddenly wake up one day and think to himself, you know something, I want to run for office. Chad was focused from early and set his face to be able to represent the people of Barbados. And that is why we welcome him with open arms in the Barbados Labour Party and why we welcome him here in St. James North. Now, you can always tell people by the company that they keep. My grandmother always used to tell me so. If you want to understand a person, look at the company that they keep. And Chad Blackman made the determination early that he was going to keep good company. He was going to keep company with the Barbados Labour Party because he saw in that party philosophy, vision, commitment, and competence that he could align himself with. And how do we know this? One of the things that is dear to the heart of the Barbados Labour Party are the children of our nation. Very important. Our children are our future. And Barbados Labour Party takes our children's future seriously. And when we came to office, what we found when we arrived in 2018 would break your heart. All of us know about the fact that the Dems took away tertiary education from the children of Barbados. But what people often don't study is how it would have wrecked the lives of many young people. I can't tell you how many could not pursue the career that they had in mind. How many parents had to make the determination as to whether they could continue to support their children at UE because free education at the UE level was no longer available to them. Therefore, when the Barbados Labour Party first order of business restored that to the people of Barbados, to the children of Barbados, that met with Chad Blackman's spirit. It met with his desire. Why? Because Chad understood the value of a good education. Chad came from humble beginnings. And when you come from humble beginnings, your parents don't always have the wherewithal to do for you everything they would like to do. But because the Barbados Labour Party had made possible primary education free, secondary education free, tertiary education free, Chad was able to benefit from that and go all the way up to his master's in international trade policy. That was what made him ready to serve Barbados on the international platform in Geneva, to be able to work with the World Trade Organization, to work with the International Labour Organization. from humble beginnings all the way up to ambassadorship because of free education. So he knew how important it was for us to restore free education. And you can see Chad's heart for education, not only because the Prime Minister gave him that as a ministry, but because of how he conducts himself in relation to it. Just today, close to 3,000 children sat the 11 plus exam, and all of us know how nerve-wracking that is, how stressful that is for families and children. Any of you out here have any child that you know that took the 11 plus today? Yes. And because it is such a stressful time, it is so important that our children feel us and feel our support of them. So what did a caring Chad Blackman do? Send a message to all the children of Barbados and say to them his support, to wish them all the best in that exam, to comfort them, to encourage them, because although he was in the midst of a campaign seeking to advance his political career, because people were at the center of who he is, he could not forget the children on such an important day. Did any of you hear a peep out of his opponent saying anything about supporting our children at this time? Anybody heard her? Not a word. Because she was concerned with herself and not with the children of Barbados. And that's not the only time. Like I tell you, you have to examine people by the things they do and by the company that they keep. As part of that 11 plus experience, children study hard and teachers give extra lessons and parents pay money to get their children ready for that 11 plus exam. A couple of days before that exam, up rose a situation that threatened to off-balance and cat-spraddle those children by the action of a few to deprive those children of their teachers at a time when they needed them most. Any person with a heart, any person with a commitment to people would recognize that this was a serious threat to our children. And what did Chad Blackman do? Because he's a man of heart, because he's a man of principle, because he's a man that put our people first, especially our children. He raised his voice and asked the question, what is this all about? Why is this taking place at this time? There has been no breakdown. What is the problem? Because immediately the threat to the children was important to him. So he rose up in defense. That's the nature of the man. Did you hear anything from his opponent? Not a word. And yet all year, you could hear his opponent yapping and yapping and yapping about every little thing that happened in schools. Whether it was a cockroach running across the road, whether it was cobweb up in a corner, whether it was a smell that people didn't like. She could talk about it and run to every school. But when the lives of our children were going to be cat-spraddled by the absence of teachers, you could not hear a peep from out of her, because there is no commitment to the children of Barbados. The children of Barbados are merely a means to an end for his opponent. That is why I can recommend Chad Blackman to you tonight, because Chad Blackman is a man of principle that puts children first, Barbados first, and community first. So much so that during this campaign, Chad wanted to be able to do something for the children, because May, after all, is the month of children. So what did he do? He wanted to assist them to move into a future, recognizing that one of the things Barbados education has to do is to help our children embrace the new skills, the new technologies, the new subjects that they must master if they're going to be successful. So Chad started a coding group at the Greenwich School just up the road here, where the children were able to be exposed to coding and to get their hands and so on and minds involved in working on their coding. That is what you do when you care. That is what you do when you're committed. That is what you do when you put people first. That is what you do when you want a better life for people. So what happened under the Dems when it came to the issue of education? Because Chad Blackman could not align himself with them at any moment or at any time in his career. One of the things when we came into office, we found that there were no structured training initiatives available to children to help them build skills that will help them to get a job. And that's why we ended up with so many children finding themselves under a tree when the day come, on a block when the day come, and the country is now reaping the impact of that neglect because there were no training initiatives to help our people acquire the skills they needed to build a career. Our technical and vocational institutions were in shambles. I went and I visited a number of the secondary schools. And some of those schools, the equipment in the workshops and in the labs are disheartening because of years of neglect, not spending any money on education. Our children then are in an environment that is not stimulating for them. What has the Barbados Labour Party done? We have set aside this year millions of dollars to be able to rebuild the infrastructure in schools, to be able to put the labs with the necessary equipment that our children can enjoy and become excited about learning because they're able to be in a lab or a workshop that works and that gives them skills that are exciting. One of the problems we've had is youth unemployment has remained really, really high. And in St. James North in particular, they saw very little investment in the young people. Chad Blackman wants to change that. Tonight he's going to share with you some of these plans and programs that he's going to have for the young people in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of skills acquisition. Those are important things. Another set of things that have been really critical and that the people of St. James North have been able to enjoy is when the Barbados Labour Party expanded the National Transformation Initiative. We have now had close to 14,000 Barbadians who have been able to take courses online. What has this done? Equip people for a better life. And Chad has been making sure, along with Edmund, to make sure that they have encouraged young people the length and breadth of this constituency, whether we're talking about down in Lower Carlton, or we're talking about here in Rock Dundo, or you're talking about Zion Hill, to get them involved, because when we do that, we're going to be able to save these children's lives. I want to end with this thought with you. Chad is a big man with a vision and with a passion. And Chad is committed to the people of Barbados. What is your responsibility as a voter in St. James North? I was discussing this with somebody just a number of hours ago. And they said to me something that I remember from my childhood. When you are playing chess, you always protect your king. You never exchange your king for a pawn. You never exchange your king for a bishop. You protect your king, otherwise you could end up in checkmate. And who is the king in this situation? It is our lives. It's your family. It's your family's future. It is your children. Your job is not to protect somebody else's political career. Your job is to vote in a way that you are able to provide your constituency with the best possible constituent representative who will look out for your interests. And that man is the big man, Chad Blackman. And I am inviting you on May 21st. I want you to come out in your numbers. I don't want you saying that, oh, he going to win. We are not cocksure. We are going to make sure your job come May 21st is to get out early, get to the polls, put your X down. Don't let it touch the line, and you put it next to Chad Blackman. And when you do that, you'll be safeguarding the future of your children, the future of your family, and the future of this nation. Chad Blackman, the big man for St. James North.
Chad, Chad, Chad. We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman.
Thank you, Sandra Husbands. As many persons in Dundo and St. James North know, families have been supported through agriculture. So next to speak to you would be Mr. Indar Weir.
Good night, Dundo. Good night, St. James North. And please permit me to say good night, St. Phillips South. That's what I'm talking about. That is what you call Labour Party love. And that is what you call people in business. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I want to utilize the time given to me, first of all, to ask all of you good people in St. James North to please give Chad Blackman your vote. And I'm saying so because I have measured Chad's performance, first of all, as a young man, giving back to his community and giving back to his country by participating at the community level in the Parish Ambassadors Program. Chad did not stop there. Chad is a man who is committed to service. Chad is a man who is dependable. And so Chad went on to become CARICOM Youth Ambassador. Chad's hard work throughout the region gave him the stature that he currently carries globally. And Chad, a very bright Barbadian young man, was able to carry the flag for Barbados globally with distinction. Chad also was the president of the League of Young Socialists of the Barbados Labour Party. Here is a young man who actually built a foundation before he started his political journey as a candidate for the Barbados Labour Party. And this is significant. It is significant because it is not only what your country can do for you, but it's also what you can do for your country. And if you want a fitting example, then look to Chad Blackman, and you would see a man that served his country from a very early age and is now prepared to come to you, the good people of St. James North, and serve you with equal distinction and commitment. And that is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I am asking you, the good people of St. James North, to please give Chad Blackman your vote on May 21st. I'm not here to get involved in any political smearing. I'm not here to call out anyone. But I'm here to share with you a couple of things that I deem very important for you to remember.
First of all, you should always look to honesty. You should always look to what is true, what is honest, and what is reasonable. And we've sat through a parliament with an opposition leader who have said to all of us in that parliament that we as a government are wrong for looking to hire the best people to work for this country, no matter where they come from. But we stuck to our mission, and we were determined that all people are people, and therefore the criticism wouldn't stop us. I want you, the people of St. James North, to recognize that you have good talent in St. James North. And after Edmund, there's Chad, and after Chad, Barbados Labour Party will be sure to make sure that you get good representation with the next person. I feel strongly about many of the things that I've heard going around this country. Criticism after criticism after criticism. First of all, with no reasonableness, with no honesty, and equally without offering any alternatives. Let me first start by telling you I completely support the vision of Chad Blackman, who has come to public life to tell you, the people of St. James North, and you, the people of Dundo, that he is going to start an agriculture program for you. He didn't tell you that you weren't getting good representation. He didn't tell you that everything about St. James North is bad. He didn't try to make you believe that this whole country is going to hell in a handbasket. He came to you with a solution. And he said to you, I will form a co-op for you, the farmers down here. Dundo, listen to me. This good young man also said that he's going to introduce technology as well to make sure that you all can enjoy your enfranchisement in agriculture through technology-driven agriculture. He has spoken about setting up farmers markets for you. This is vision. This is a man who starts off by saying he cares. And at no point in time did I hear Mr. Blackman start tearing down everything on the other side. As a matter of fact, he has been so respectful, he has not responded to any of the perfidious comments that came from the other side. You are being asked to make a decision on the behavior of two candidates, on the behavior of a political leader, and by extension on the behavior of a people in government. And when you go out to make that decision, make sure that you remember that your future, your children's future, and your children's children's future will be at stake on May 21st if you decide that you will be carried away by the false propaganda that is being portrayed in this constituency. And I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, I know my time is limited. I will have a good time to come back and speak to you about all the accusations in agriculture. Accusations in my ministry as if we can do nothing right. Accusations when all the facts before you say otherwise. A central bank report just came out. The central bank report spoke about several things in agriculture. Barbados is going through climate change like anywhere else in the world. India, everywhere else are experiencing problems with climate, and therefore their crop yields are also trending downwards. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, St. Lucia, Antigua. No country on the Ministerial Task Force for Agriculture has been able to report aggressive growth in agriculture. But Barbados, as it stands, with several different things taking place in agriculture, has been able to give you 23.9% growth in root crop production in Barbados. And why is root crop production important? Because it's the staple. Root crop production, things like yam and cassava that we grow upon and that we know. We had 23.9% growth. Check the central bank report. Don't have to believe me. But you were led to believe that agriculture is in shambles. Poultry. We have a poultry industry in Barbados that is strong. And just like anything else, if climate impacts you, it can affect the growth of birds. They're living species. And would you believe that in spite of the fact that we had some challenges in October with chicken shortages, we were able to rebuild the poultry industry so that in the first quarter of this year, go to the central bank report and you have a 2.2% growth in poultry. But you know what the leader of the opposition said to this country? That everything is going wrong with agriculture because he failed to read the report and he failed to identify those things that are positive. I say to you, think of what you are being told. Because what you are being told is very important. When people choose to ignore facts, choose not to go to the details of a report, but would handpick just the negative side of it. And what is the negative side? That the fishing industry had it down because of Hurricane Beryl, and so fish landings were down. We expected that. There's no miracle that we're trying to work. But at the same time, 250 boats were repaired and went back out to sea. That is the positive side. So you will get growth again. Milk, obviously, because we do not have the cows to produce the milk in the heat that we are having. I want all Barbadians to remember, in 2023, we had so much of a drought in this country. The heat was unbearable. And then following that was excessive rainfall, floods everywhere. Same thing last year. My ministry has determined that we have to find solutions in order for us to mitigate the challenges with climate. And that is the reason why we are introducing technology, agriculture-driven farms in Barbados, where people can now operate a farm in a safe environment, using a freight farm, driven by technology, getting young people involved, and all these things are coming to Barbados as of June of this year. I have heard no solutions from the Democratic Labour Party except for all criticism and all false criticism. In this year's budget, $10 million was set aside for ordinary Barbadians like you, the good people here in Dundo, to be able to own a freight farm on a lease-to-own basis, where after 7 years it becomes your property, whilst you can produce and earn. That is enfranchisement. This government also is making it possible for you, the good people in St. James North and right across Barbados, to be able to participate in poultry production using contemporary tunnels so that you can also do a lease-to-own arrangement out of that same $10 million. This is a Barbados Labour Party that cares about people. This is a Barbados Labour Party that is taking this country forward. We cannot live by doing open field agriculture alone. Those days are over. And I've said this in Parliament, and I want you Barbadians to make sure you're not misled. Make sure you're not misled. Because, you know, they come in like a thief in the night to steal from you your ability to reason. They want to make you believe that everything they say is gospel. It is not. And I have not heard the leader of the opposition take the central bank report and dissect that report and talk you through it. A bundle of perfidious nonsense over and over and over. Do not associate yourself with that type of behavior. And I said to you that all the negative things that are being said about you, the good people down here in St. James North, that all you can do is complain and complain and complain, and that nothing right about you down here. You need to pay attention to that kind of behavior, and you need to make sure that you send a very clear message on May 21st, because the man that you have before you, that giant of a man, Chad Blackman, has done no such thing but show you a vision and a future. And I say to you that he reminds me of the prophet Jeremiah. For I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. St. James North, thank you. I'm obliged to you.
We going with the BLP. We resting ready. Them we ready. Yeah, we going with the BLP. We resting ready. Them we ready. People smiling again, feeling proud again, 'cause we rising. We rising.
Thank you, the Member of Parliament for St. Phillips South. I was looking around and I'm trying to find the beginning or the end of this massive crowd here tonight for a sport meeting. It is not a national meeting, it is a sport meeting. Like the Dems, we don't have to rent a crowd. We got people that come out. Come out. I understand there's an ad out. There's an ad out. And they're offering, they're looking to rent a crowd. $20 an hour. $20 an hour. But the thing is, they ain't even going to last for that long when they got a meeting because they're all in chaos. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lioness on the rise, and who continues to rise from the constituency of St. Michael Southeast. Put your hands together for our Deputy Prime Minister, Santia Bradshaw.
We going big. We going big. We going big.
We're going big.
We gonna go home.
Good night, St. James North.
Big heart, big action.
Good night to the good people of Rock Dundo. Let me tell you, right? St. James North has been so good to me for the last couple of weeks. I really want to tell you, I love one of bad. I came down here on a journey when we were doing Rock Dundo Road for phase 1. And the people in this community embraced me. They told me all the problems. They were happy about getting the road done after many, many, many years of not seeing any kind of road works in this particular area. And for those who live here, I want to thank you for your patience, first of all, because I know that in the early stages, we had a lot of disruption in relation to this road. But when I listened to the other side speak about the fact that no works have been done in this constituency, I think all of you who have come to this meeting tonight in Rock Dundo can go back and tell the Democratic Labour Party that certainly those of you who live in the Rock Dundo area have been the beneficiaries of a roadworks program under the Barbados Labour Party. And I start there because as the speaker who came before, Indar spoke to a lot of misrepresentations. We're going to hear a lot of misrepresentations in this by-election campaign. We are here to bring a balance to what I think are a lot of these mistruths that are out there. And just as we get ready to obviously kick off this campaign, tonight is our first meeting, it is our intention to be able to ensure that Chad Blackman is the duly elected representative for the people of St. James North come the 21st of this month.
But we cannot do it without coming to the people. And one of the things that in this by-election that I certainly am pleased to be a part of is that having been given the honor to be able to lead the campaign and to work with a stellar team of persons from the Prime Minister and an entire planning team, that I can tell you with all sincerity that Chad Blackman is not just a big man, but he is a big man with a lot of passion. He's a big man with a lot of vision. And he's a big man that no matter how far he has gone, he has maintained his humble nature. And I say that with all sincerity because I ain't going to come up here and tell you or walk through this constituency if I did not believe that the person who we have put before you in this election is somebody who is worthy of representing you when that time comes. And I'll tell you why. There are a lot of people who are involved in public life from time to time, who are sometimes the children of politicians, for instance. Many of them don't come to the fore. They don't participate in elective politics. They don't have a history to politics, even though their foreparents may have been involved in participating in elections. Many of you will know the reference to Chad and to his great-grandfather, Burton Hines, who would also have been involved in politics. He was the former Speaker of the House. And for me, it is important that people come to understand that Chad could have chosen, after a Barbados government would have allowed him to get a free education, to go overseas to study, Chad could have decided that he was not coming back to Barbados. But Chad understood his roots. He understood what service was about through his great-grandfather who gave service to this country and to this community. And Chad took a decision that despite his qualifications, despite his successes, despite his achievements, that he was going to come back to the people of St. James North to be able to serve each and every one of you. There are many who run from public service. I tell my father all the time that it is his fault that I am involved in politics because he was a mentor to me. He made me to understand what service was about, that you don't climb up the ladder and not look back, not look to the side to see who you can pull up and who you can empower. And I can say to you tonight that the Chad Blackman that I have come to know is a young man with a big voice, with a big heart, who understands what it is to come from humble beginnings, to have elevated himself to the level that he has as ambassador for Barbados, but also to want, when a phone call was made and told to him, get back in Barbados because we have work for you to do, that Chad Blackman did not hesitate. He did not say, you know what, there's better money for me being earned on this side. He didn't say, I don't have time for that because I have other things to do. He took the opportunity that was presented to him and he made the decision that he would come back to Barbados, serve in the capacity as a senator and then a minister. And then when the opportunity arose, when former Member of Parliament Edmund Hinkson resigned from this place, made the determination that he would be the person who would put himself forward to the people of St. James North to be elected. He did not come to you when the by-election was announced. Chad started his journey with the people of St. James North for some time. Edmund and him have been working out here, and it is clear to me from the first night I landed in St. James North with Chad Blackman, it was clear to me as people were walking up to me, walking up to him and greeting him. I called the Prime Minister and I said, you see this young man? We got the seat. Because there are very few times that sometimes you walk with people and people are so comfortable walking with them in a community. People were coming up to him from all walks of life, tapping Chad on the shoulder, shouting him out. People wanted to engage with Chad. And one of the beautiful things about the moment was that Chad is prepared to engage with the people as well. He does not just speak the speak. He does not just talk the talk, but I have actually seen him walk the walk as well. Everybody is not always comfortable with everybody. But I can tell you from wherever we have gone across St. James North, Chad Blackman is comfortable in his own skin. He is comfortable no matter where we place him, no matter the interaction with the people. I can tell you from my heart that I see a man who is willing now to take the next step to be able to represent at a different level the people of St. James North. And why do the people of St. James North need to be represented? Because if it is that we are going to hear all about the things that the Barbados Labour Party has not done, then I believe that the people of this community owe it to themselves to have somebody who can remind the people of St. James North of the things that have happened over the last 7 years that the Barbados Labour Party has been in office. Because as I started, I mentioned the fact that this road was done. Now this is but one road of another 11 roads that have been done in St. James North. Now if you listen to the other side, they will keep telling you that no roads have been done in St. James North. They will tell you all the roads that want doing in St. James North. But they're not going to tell you about Dundo, and they're not going to tell you about any of the other roads across the constituency that have actually been done. They will not tell you, but Edmund Hinkson did, about the fact that when I, as minister, determined that we were going to do roads across the country, we determined that there were certain roads that were key connectors from Highway 2A to Highway 1, that we wanted to ease the pressure off of the people of this community. And we took it upon ourselves to be very strategic, because I want people to understand that we are not just picking roads because you voted for the Democratic Labour Party or you voted for the Barbados Labour Party. This is a responsible government, and a responsible government that has been given the opportunity by the people to hold the number of seats that it has, the majority in the House, has a responsibility to be responsible in the way that it allocates roads across the country. Edmund will tell you that he got the lion's share of the roads being done. He got roads done in this community, and there are roads that now Chad has the opportunity to be able to build on. We are aware that we have to do the roads, the side roads as well, down in Dundo as well. And we are aware that there are other roads that Chad and I have spoken about that also require attention. But I want the people to understand tonight that roads do not get built by us twitching our noses or snapping our fingers. A government has to be able to find the necessary finances to be able to ensure that we are able to service not just the people of St. James North, but to make sure that we build out infrastructure across the country, that our farmers, our business people, our entrepreneurs, that all of the people, the residents, the tourists, and everyone alike have the opportunity to be able to drive on roads which do not cause them difficulties in terms of their repairs to their vehicles. That is the mission of this Barbados Labour Party. And we've done it not just in this community of St. James North, but if you drive across the country, while you may tell yourselves that your road did not get done, I challenge any Barbadian to tell me whether you have ever seen these amount of road works being done in Barbados in our history. The Barbados Labour Party has been able to secure funding through the People's Republic of China in the sum of $230 million to be able to do roads within the Scotland district. We have also, with the assistance of the CAF Fund, been able to do this road here in Dundo, and many others, Prior Park that is nearby as well, and many others, the ones in St. Thomas that we've also been working on, that everybody talks about, the Shop Hill and the Cane Garden to Bridgefield. Those things do not happen by accident. Roads have to be designed in order for us to be able to build the roads. When you see the programs where we did mill and pave, that is where St. James North got the lion's share in terms of the works that were done in this community. Because the roads were ready to go. They did not have a lot of utility intervention that was required in order for us to be able to do those roads. So I want you to appreciate that this government has been working hard, that Chad has been at the forefront with the economic team, working hard to be able to deliver to the people of this country, and by extension, to deliver to the people of St. James North. And I have no doubt in my mind that the man that I walk with every single day, the man that I talk to every single day, the man that I listen to and understand where his heart is and his passion is, that I've come to understand that when you elect him on the 21st of May, that he will give you his all in terms of representing the people of St. James North. Do not be fooled by anybody coming to tell you anything about Chad. I am not even going to spend time in this campaign on anybody else. I understand they have 3 other candidates in the race. I wish them all the best. I know that this Barbados Labour Party is bringing home St. James North for the Barbados Labour Party. That is what I know. We do not have to run a smear campaign. We do not have to do anything to distract the people from the issues. We understand the issues. We understand that there are things that this party committed to. And there are things that some of you may feel we still ought to do. And we know that we still have things to deliver on. But what we ask of you is to give us a gentleman in the name of Chad Blackman, from whom we believe the representation that is needed for St. James North can come. That is what we ask of you, and that is what we're going to ask of you every single day throughout this campaign until the 21st of May. Because it is only when you give somebody the ability to talk to on behalf of you, particularly when we are in cabinet, that you have the opportunity to have your voices heard. We have walked along the coast of this country. We've gone into the agricultural areas. We've gone across the length and breadth of this constituency. And you will often hear Chad speak to the diversity of this constituency in a way that I don't think I've ever heard it spoken of. Because he understands. He gets it. And with his background in trade law, he also understands that he has the opportunity to take what he's learned from outside and to be able to implement it in a way now that can redound to the benefit of the people of not just this constituency, but also for the people of wider Barbados. I, as a former Minister of Education, also can tell you that his style and mine are very similar. You hit the ground running from day one. You make sure that you confront the issues when presented with them. And I can say with all sincerity that I am satisfied in the way that Chad has mastered and commanded himself as a Minister of Education. Just today, as we were getting ready for the nomination, group of little children outside of St. Boniface Nursery School, along with their teachers who were teaching them about what was happening in the upcoming election, saw Chad. Chad came down the road, saw Chad out there. And without any hesitation, he didn't have to be pushed, he didn't have to be told, because he understands that the children are the future of this country and that his interaction with them in or out of office is important to be able to give them a guiding light, because he understands that it is Barbados that has built him. It is Barbados that has made him. It is the people of St. James North that have carried him and that are going to continue to carry him. And Chad walked over to those children and embraced those children. And again, I said to myself, without even prompting, this young man understands and cares about the people in this community and has a wider love for people across Barbados. I don't have to sell Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman will sell himself on this campaign. And I want you to understand that many of the issues that we have been confronting on the campaign trail, many of you have spoken to me about the street lights. Many of you have said that we have issues in terms of how dark it is in some areas. Well, I have news for you. In a very short time, you will start to see Highway 2A having the erection of solar lights with the assistance from the People's Republic of China, who donated 430 lights to us for Highway 2A. So when they tell you St. James North wants lighting up, Let them know that the Barbados Labour Party and Chad Blackman are going to light up St. James North. Because they will get and tell you on the other side that we ain't do nothing. We ain't put down the infrastructure. But we took a decision. I want people to understand it, because we can go and we can put lights in every single community. But when you have limited resources, you also have to make choices. You have to make decisions, just as you do in your household. You have to make decisions about what is a priority and what is not a priority. You have to make decisions about how you will do things in phases. And we have taken a decision as a government that while we will continue to work on ensuring that we light the inner communities, the cries of the people of St. James North at every parish speaks, at every interaction that we have had with the people who have said that Highway 2A is very dangerous in terms of when they are traversing on that road. We have committed to making sure that we have not only gotten the donation of the lights, but it is our intention as a government, and I know Chad will continue to push for this as well, to ensure that the resources are made available to light the entire highway. That is what our promise is to the people of this country. So when they are talking, I want people to understand we cannot do everything, but we have started a journey over the last 7 years of the transformation of this country. And we are going to ensure that with Chad Blackman as the representative for St. James North, that we are able to continue on the trajectory that we have started. So it is really up to you, the people of St. James North, to understand the mission. To understand that we don't want you to take for granted. Many of you will say the Barbados Labour Party going to win. Many of you are going to say that Chad Blackman is going to win. Well, we know he's going to win. But we want you to come out in your numbers on the 21st of May and ensure that the big man with the big voice, with a big passion, with a big vision, wins big in the by-election on the 21st of May. Because we understand what it will mean for the people of this community as well. We've walked around as well. It's not just the lights and the roads. We've also heard the cries of the people in this community as well about the bush. But the good thing is that this administration has not been sleeping on the job as others did before. We're not here to simply hear the complaints and do nothing. In fact, what this administration has been doing is passing legislation, because we recognize that bush on lots that are owned by private individuals are a nuisance within many of your communities, even here in Dundo. And we have passed legislation recently to ensure that those persons are now responsible for maintaining their lots. And if they don't maintain their lots, they will find themselves obviously attracting an administrative penalty. Because at the end of the day, we cannot have a situation where people continue to believe that they can have these properties and they are not maintaining these properties in and around communities. This administration has not just simply heard you, but we have determined that in our interest and in your interest from a public health perspective, that we have had to act in the interest of the people to ensure that we address the issues that you have raised with us. And many of you have come to the same parish speaks and raised these issues of the rats and the mosquitoes and everything on these overgrown lots. So we have not ignored the cries of the people. What we have in fact done is acted upon the agitation from time to time. We've acted and we've listened. And if there's one thing that the country, no matter what it is that people may say about the Barbados Labour Party, the one thing that nobody can say is that the Barbados Labour Party don't listen. We have listened, we have communicated, we've tried to make sure that we're in a position to deliver on the things that the people of this community and other communities across Barbados have highlighted to us that they want done. So tonight, I stand here as a proud Barbados Labour Party member, one who recognizes the contribution that this young man that we are asking you to give support to has made to this country, has made to this economy, to ask you for your support in this upcoming by-election to ensure that this cabinet of Barbados is given a further heavy weight to be able to allow us to dissect and to transform this economy in a way that Barbados has never seen before. And I firmly believe that the people that I have engaged with, the people that I've interacted in this community, understand their mission. They will be polite to those who come and try to distract them. But I also believe that the big man with the big voice, with the big passion, is going to be elected as the next representative for St. James North on the 21st of May of this year. And we can only do it with all of you and all of the support from each and every one of you. I want to thank you. God bless you. And I can't wait till we are victorious on the 21st to be able to see Chad walking up the steps of Parliament, no longer as a senator, but certainly in the capacity as a minister of government, being able to give that heavy weight to the people of this country. Thank you.
Chad, Chad, Chad. We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity.
Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister. I have a quick announcement to make. The driver of H3281, please attend to your vehicle now. You are blocking someone and they wish to, there's an emergency and they wish to leave. People of St. James North, people of this great political institution called the Barbados Labour Party, all of you who will cast your ballot on May 21st, 2025, I now bring to you the man of the moment. He served as a parish ambassador. He served as a CARICOM youth ambassador. I want you to begin to welcome this man who was president of the League of Young Socialists of this party. Ladies and gentlemen, he served on the international scene, the ambassador to the United Nations and to Geneva. He served countries like Serbia, Switzerland, Hungary, Austria. He was senior advisor to the Director General of the ILO, which is the International Labour Organization. He is a lawyer. He specializes in international trade, shipping, and marine insurance. Ladies and gentlemen, he seeks the support. We have been canvassing with him all over this constituency. He seeks the support of you, the people of St. James North, to become the next member of Parliament for St. James North. Ladies and gentlemen, the big man with a big voice, with a big passion, the man who was willing, who was given of himself, who was given everything that he has for a moment like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Chad Blackman. When you go to the polls, people of St. James North, on May 21st, make sure you cast your X, you cast your vote for Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman. And when the results are being counted, we want to hear Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman. Ladies and gentlemen, people of St. James North, this is your next representative, Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman. Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. Chad Blackman, a big dancer too.
We go big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity. With the whole lot of love for this country, you don't know Chad Blackman is ready. And with a whole lot of knowledge, bright and so innovative. For all the St. James of Massive, a great representative. Big man, big heart, big action. We go big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We go big with Chad Blackman. Committed, hardworking, dedicated. action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity. With the whole lot of love for this country, you got no Chad Blackman is ready. And with a whole lot of knowledge.
Good night, Rock Dundo. Good night, Rock Dundo. Good night, St. James North. Lord have mercy. It is certainly very good and humbling to be here amongst you tonight on the kickoff of campaign 2025 by-election in the constituency of St. James North. I am so happy to see all of you, not only the large numbers in your red, but those of you who have come out from your houses to listen to the message of the Barbados Labour Party. And the reason why we're here is to say to you that on May 21st, you will go to the polls and elect Chad Blackman as the next Member of Parliament for the constituency of St. James North. And there are a number of things that I want to do tonight as I address you on my maiden speech, having been formally nominated just a few hundred yards away here this morning at Gordon Greenwich Primary School in my nomination as the candidate for the Barbados Labour Party. But before I do, I could not do so without paying homage to what I consider and many consider as the heartbeat of St. James North, Rock Dundo. It is not by accident, having been nominated this morning, that this meeting is here. This is a neighborhood and a community filled with youth, wisdom, persons of an elderly nature, vibrancy, and it serves, therefore, as a rhythm and heartbeat for the constituency. And I want to acknowledge a number of people. And I see a lot of my friends who I've met over the last year having canvassed and spent time with you. Average, Parelli, good night to you. Gorg as well, who continues to move with me. And why is this important? You're the persons that have nurtured me from the time I offered myself last year whilst canvassing with Edmund Hinkson when he was the Member of Parliament for this constituency. And I want to use this occasion to thank Mr. Hinkson for the service that he gave to the constituency and for also seeing it fit from since last year. Every Sunday we started when I came back from Geneva, and we would go the length and breadth of this constituency and to meet the people in their houses. And then we upped the tempo a bit. It went from Saturdays to Saturdays and Sundays. And then I started to go on my own as I started to know the people. And why is that important? If you're offering yourself of service to people, you have to build a relationship. I have not just come to you 2.5 or 3 weeks ago saying I want to run for Parliament. Because why? You have to understand that service is about not just the relationship, but building trust. Because when people trust you with their affairs and their lives, you then have the confidence to do so in a level that allows them to know this man has my back. And I start there because this journey for me is one, as you've heard, and I want to thank all the speakers who came before me, who would have spoken about my background and my heritage, coming from ordinary circumstances. My journey has allowed for me to understand the rudiments of service. A lot of persons would have held my hand, as I said, in this constituency for a number of months. And I also want to signal my friend, where is he? Jerry Dan. General, I salute you. These are the persons who said, Chad, if you're going to come to St. James North, talk to the people, walk with the people, listen to the people, be there for the people, over and over and over again. And for the last year, I've been able to do that. But why am I offering myself to you at this time? As a young man, at the age of 42 years old, I've done a number of things in life that has allowed for me to see that if you want to serve, You have to be the people's chief servant. When you look at the context of the Bible, Jesus himself, notwithstanding the office in which he held, being the Christ, he said, if you want to serve, if you want to lead, you have to serve people. And this constituency, as I said, has a high level of talent. And there are a number of young people who continue to make their strides in major ways. But I also want to acknowledge a young lady who was at the heart of this neighborhood, who yesterday, of course, many of you remember, was the 1-year anniversary of her passing, Kelly. And I was introduced to her by Jerry. A young lady full of life, and were she here, I'm sure she would have been right here with us. But this community has at its core the ability to have people to do business, talent, and entrepreneurship. So whether you talk about LaSanta, who in my view has one of the best beautician and nail tech businesses anywhere in the north of the country, or you're talking about the mechanics like Wong, Carlos Wong. Where are you, Carlos? Where are you, Carlos? One of the best mechanics in the Barbados. That is what I'm talking about. How do you now take that raw talent that you have and bring it to the fore that allows for them to now not just do great things, but do great things in a phenomenal way, earning income, business, bringing other people along with them so that they can now maximize their talent and potential in a comprehensive way that they've never done or contemplated before. And I see myself as a candidate that offers the opportunity to create and unlock doors for our people in St. James North. Dundo, there's no secret that you have some of the most fertile lands anywhere in this country. And it is not by accident that just behind us here, you have a field filled with produce and agriculture. And why am I talking about that? You would have heard Minister Weir, and I want to thank you, Indar, for your words. St. Phillips South, big up to you. Part and parcel of my commitment and vision to the constituency is to ensure that we can now take agriculture to the next level. What do I mean? One, the creation of what will be the St. James North Agricultural Initiative. And included in that is the creation of a cooperative where you bring all of the small and medium farmers and producers of agriculture in the constituency into a cooperative that allows for one, unique and particular branding of all their produce, so that when you sell it to supermarket X or supermarket Y, everyone will enjoy a particular unique branding based on the goods that they have been able to produce. So whether you produce chicken, you produce pork, vegetables, or fruit, there is a unique way that you're going to be branded. You benefit from economies of scale. The second tier to that is that every single weekend, you should be benefiting from the ability to go to a farmer's market where you eat and consume goods produced in St. James North for people in St. James North. Of course, it will be open to the rest of the country. So the cooperative, therefore, will allow for persons to now have their goods placed in a way that they've never had before. Why is this also important? There is no doubt that food security is a major issue that the countries in the region, particularly in CARICOM, have to confront. We only need to look and remember COVID-19. When the world was on lockdown, the most important thing apart from medicines and pharmaceuticals was what? Food. Food. And we import a high level of food in this country. But we must now use agriculture and technology to be able to bridge that gap and to put food on our tables, put money on our people's pocket, and ensure that we can have new levels of success and yields. Which brings me to the second thing that we want to do, ramp up and scale. At the weekend, you would have seen us launch the St. James North Tech Hub. What is the St. James North Tech Hub? There's no doubt that we live in a world of technology. Every day we use these things, telephones, laptops, mobile. You book your flights on your phone. You play games. You check your blood pressure. But a lot of the technologies that we use are technologies created in other parts of the world. It cannot be that God has given young people in Barbados ability and talent and skill, but that we are not the creators of these technologies. And the purpose of the Tech Hub is to start in St. James North and to allow our young people from across the constituency to understand at an early age the importance of technology, how to use it, and to spark their mind and imagine how can they now create technologies, not just for Barbados or St. James North, but the rest of the world. Because the future of the nation depends on a generation of young people that can conceive ideas, implement them, and export them, earning foreign exchange for them and their country. And we're going to start right here in this constituency. And I was so happy that so many young people turned up, young children, adolescents, and their parents. And to the parents who sent their children, and for those who've called after, asking, how can I get my child signed up in this Tech Hub? I say to you, I give you the commitment that your child is going to be in a safe space where they can come and learn modes of technology. You've heard my colleagues before speak about my international experience. Well, I want to tell you, it is one thing to have international experience and international contacts here. I plan to make sure that that experience and levels of contact can now benefit the people of St. James North. So whether I have to speak to international organizations, international agencies, so that they can bring cooperation and technical assistance at a local level to benefit the people, mark my word, it will be done. The fourth thing, we have to imagine or reimagine how can we revive community spirit. This neighborhood benefits from vibrancy, young people, persons who are skilled in drama and dance and theater and arts, persons who are skilled in sports and development. But we've never taken it to the level where they can now see themselves as creating these things in a way that benefits everyone in a collective. And I am proposing not just in St. James North Community Hub, but that each community in the constituency should have its own webpage, website, and its own app. Why? You must know what is going on in your constituency and your community. And I want to signal out Boo. There's no coincidence that we're right here at Boo Shop, a landmark not just in St. James North or the north of the country, but in Barbados as well. And Boo, I want to salute you for the yeoman's service that you offer to the people of this country, to the tourists who come here, and everybody who pass in this part of the world. Because why? Our iconic landmarks must now be given pride of place. And this is the sort of thing that we must now promote. St. James North, as I've said, and you heard our Deputy Prime Minister Santia talk about it. The remarkable thing about this constituency is that it has such a diversity. It is both coastal, it is rural, it is urban, it is suburban, and it has all of the ingredients for what a country must look like. And therefore, the question is, how do we now unlock the potential of our people in St. James North for the benefit of everyone in this nation called Barbados? But in addition to what I'm talking about, the future, I want to spend a little time focusing on who am I? Who is Chad Blackman? Yes, the big man, 6'4". Some people say, Chad boy, I want a shirt. Can I have your shirt? And I say to them, well, if you want my shirt, you have to make sure that you wear a shirt with a hump. True thing. And I say that whilst it is comical and true, it also brings me to the fact that I also want to commit publicly to you and to ask you to join me in a journey, because I've started since last year, but it's not always been easy. I must confess, it has not always been easy. We in this country and this region suffer from non-communicable diseases. Fortunately, knock on wood, I have not had any non-communicable diseases. But if you look at my size and my body mass index and these things, it tells you, therefore, that I have to change course before the course changes me. True? So therefore, I want to be the champion for healthy lifestyles and living in the constituency of St. James North. What does that mean? Community walks. Yes, you know, and the fellas will tell me, and apparently this is not going to stop me and you from having a beverage. So don't worry. But it also means when I come to the shop, I wouldn't have 2 beers, I will probably have 1. It also means that I'm going to be drinking more water. It also means that when you have your produce, I can be saying, okay, give me some yams and potatoes and some fish on the course. Because why? Healthy eating and a healthy lifestyle means ensuring that you are there for the long term. So the initiative is to what? Make sure that all of us understands the importance of a healthy lifestyle. So when you see me not just going to the gym in the constituency, but walking up and down, and I must tell you, the beauty of this constituency is the terrain forces you to keep fit. The Prime Minister called the election just over a week ago. And I can tell you, over a week ago, this shirt was fitting me a little tighter. Look at it now. Real talk. My campaign team, where's Santia? Everyone who knows me knows I love a Coke. And the one thing that has stood steadfast between that Coca-Cola and me is Santia Bradshaw. Believe you me, she's the best campaign manager you could ever ask for. Real talk, sis. Because why? She also understands, Chad, you're busy, you're a big man, and if you're going to do this not just in the election campaign, but you have to ensure that your health is wealth, your health is important. And therefore, over the last, I've been able to change my, why am I saying this? We have to now change the way in which we eat and drink. And as part of the reason why, too, in the Ministry of Education, the government has declared and made it a mandatory policy for consideration, not, but for implementation. The National Nutritional Policy for Children. Sometimes I do tours at schools and I see some things that make me think, no, but you shouldn't be eating this. Even though in my own private life, you have choices. But remember, between the ages of 2, 3, up to 14, what you put in your body determines the rest of your life. And we have to protect our children and ensure that they have a comprehensive level of policies that guides for them in a nutritious way. And therefore, the journey of education transformation isn't just about the transition from primary to secondary school. That is a part of it. But how do we now reimagine what education looks like for our people? We have inherited a system of education that has hitherto determined for us, particularly post-independence, that we know more about Europe and its history than we know about ourselves. And why is that important to change? How many of you were taught at school, or even you, prior to last year when they came, that this little rock called Barbados produced not 1, not 2, but 3 presidents of Liberia? This little rock called Barbados. But you know more about the history of kings and queens in Britain. Part of the transformation also is, how do we ensure that we can take the way we live, the way we talk, and bring our education into modernization going forward? And it is part of the reasons why I've said to the team in education that the music curriculum has to also be expanded so that the young people and young minds in Dundo and surrounding communities can have the opportunity to be able to reimagine culture in a way that we've not done before. So therefore, it should really be about the creative arts. So you should be able to walk into school, particularly at secondary school, and learn how to write music, yes, understand music, but also how to produce beats, how to produce spooge, how to create music in a studio, learn how to be a DJ, learn how to manage artists, learn how to write contracts, so that by the time you leave school, you're already prepared for the industry of the creative arts. We have to prepare our children for the future. And over the campaign, you're going to be hearing me speaking to a number of things with respect to transformation of education that I know will excite this generation in a way that we've never contemplated before as a society. We have to now look not just to the future of Barbados, but contemplate and conceive Barbados of the future. We have to ask ourselves, Dundo, how can we ensure that within the next 50 years, that this little rock called Barbados, anchored by St. James North, which must be the tech hub of the North, tech hub of the country, agricultural belt of the North, agricultural belt of the country, can produce the geniuses that the world needs. There is no secret that we live in a world that is constantly changing. And we also need to ensure that every young person who goes to Gordon Greenwich, St. Boniface, St. Albans, St. James Primary School has within their bosoms the skills and confidence to do the necessary things to ensure that they can be globally competitive. And it therefore requires us to do a little few things. One of the things that has helped me in my life is the tools of foreign languages. We take it for granted oftentimes. And at third, fourth form, you drop the subjects. But when you look at the rest of the world and where the young people are going, sometimes at the age of 2 and 3 and 4, they can speak many foreign languages. We have to ensure that the kids and children of Dundo have that within their capacity. So it therefore means language clubs. You're going to see language clubs pop up in the constituency, neighborhood by neighborhood, but also not just coming into a classroom, but using these things, technology. Because why? Language must now be part and parcel of the future of this nation. So whether you say, bonjour, je m'appelle Chad, buenos dias, soy Chad Blackman, is Haisha Chad. The point is that you have the tools that you can leave anywhere and go in the world and compete with anyone, because Barbados gave you the tools to compete in anything. So if you want to be a footballer like Gorg, if you want to be a top class DJ like Jerry Dan, if you want to be a top class mechanic like Carlos Wong, and you want to go anywhere in the world, language must not be a limitation for you. You can speak in Bajan, English, Spanish, German, Arabic. This is Barbados of the future. And St. James North, I commit to you to use your skills to build out that future that I'm talking about. But outside of all of those things that I'm speaking, a bit about me on a personal level. I come from ordinary beginnings, as you've probably heard last night, where my community held me, and they determined, young man, notwithstanding your circumstance, you have the ability to go far in life. But equally, they reminded me that to whom much is given, much is what? Expected. And this is why I am here. This country has given me so much. It has made me the man who I am today. A man who can walk, as you heard Colin say, I can interact with prime ministers, kings, sheikhs. I can walk in a rum shop. I can go at somebody's house. And you know, the lovely thing I love about St. James North, and I think I have to blame some of you too. I have to give some of you the blame. Because why I'm saying this, I must confess, almost everywhere I go in St. James North, Blackie has something to eat. Now, as you can tell, I like a good piece of food. So when I come to you and you say, Blackie wants any, I can say yes. And over the year, that has been happening. So the point I'm making, this community and this constituency is so warm. And it really speaks to the character of the people of St. James North. And therefore, I am not coming to you with any hocus pocus and now pretending to care about you. I am here genuinely because I love you and you love me. I love one bad. This constituency has embraced me in a way that I cannot explain to you in words. But equally, as I said, to whom much is given, much is expected. And it is therefore the reason why I'm asking that on May 21, the 21st of May this year, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., when the polls are open, that you go into the polls and you take that pencil and you place that X squarely in the box next to Blackman. You will see Blackman Chad squarely in there. Don't touch the lines. And when you finish vote, get on your WhatsApps, your phones, your cars, your bicycle. You vote yet? No, come. You vote yet? No, come. And we are doing that from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Because why? Even though there's a lot of support, and I must tell you, there is a lot of support behind the campaign. It is not over until it's what? It is over. And how is it over? When you hear votes for Blackman, 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 Blackman. Next box, Blackman, Blackman, Blackman. Only then, only then, only then will you have Chad Blackman as your member of parliament when the returning officer declares the results of the polls. So I don't want you to take it for granted, and I want to use this occasion to say to all of you who want to join the campaign, because this is more than a political campaign. We are now creating a movement, the movement of St. James North. And you're going to start to see a lot of creative things that we're going to touch in with the young people, the elderly, those in between, the young professionals, the business community, the agricultural persons. Why? This community has to thrive. And all of you know how to get on to me. And we are going to do this in a way that allows for dignity and respect. And I can guarantee you, my back is broad. And they like to throw a lot of jabs. But I am rising above that, and I've risen above that. And I will not use this campaign here or otherwise to insult any of the candidates who are running against me. Because my parents didn't bring me up like that. What I will tell you, though, however, is that if you come too far, you can get a little touch. Because why? We have to know, let the big man alone. Don't trouble the big man here. All right. So I'm simply saying this, ladies and gentlemen. I offer myself to you unequivocally, unreservedly. I ask you to give me your confidence, your vote on the 21st of May. I ask you to bear with me as I go knocking on your doors, house after house after house. Call after call after call. Talk after talk after talk. Let me go. House after house after house. Call after call after call. Call after, hey. Call after call after call. House after house after house. Blackie. House after house after house. Blackie. House after house after. Blackie. You get the point. You get the point. We are creating a movement of lasting presence in St. James North. And I'm humble. Lastly, I'll say this. We are on the border of the parish of St. Peter in this constituency. So Dundo is both St. Peter, St. James. And I'm humble to be able to represent my party in the time of 2025, having come after my grandfather, who was the member of parliament for St. Peter, Burden Hines, who many of you know, and you know of his ethos. And I'm saying to you, give me the chance to represent you. And I'm making this contract to you publicly here tonight, starting in Dundo. I assure you that once you give me the opportunity to represent you in the House of Assembly in Bridgetown, Barbados, I will not let you down. Keep me in your prayers. Keep me in your prayers. Last night, I was so touched by the prayers of Reverend Lennox Boyce and Apostle Lucille Baird. And I felt genuinely the presence of God. And that is why I know that this has been ordained for a time as this. And we must not take it for granted, and we cannot play with God. And that is why I'm saying to you, I come to you asking for your vote and your support. And on May 21st, we will be victorious through the name of Jesus and your support. And I want to thank you for coming out in your numbers tonight. And after I come down from the stage, we can do it like how we just always do. I can come and hug you up. We can dance up. We can go and have some water. We can have some water. Y'all can have what y'all want, but I having water. All right? And we are going to ensure that on May 21st, that Chad Blackman is the next member of Parliament for St. James North. So I want to thank you. God bless you. Good night. I love you all. Thank you very much.
We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity. With the whole lot of love for this country, you don't know Chad Blackman is ready. And with a whole lot of knowledge, bright and so innovative. For all the St. James North massive, a great representative. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. Committed, hardworking, dedicated. We going big with Chad Blackman. We going big with Chad. 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 Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity.
Make way for the big man.
This country, you don't know Chad Blackman is ready.
That's the man we're going with. In St. James North. You've just heard him. Chad Blackman. Chad. 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 Chad.
We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity. With the whole lot of love for this country. You don't
People
know
of St. James North, this is the man. This is the man you're going to go to in your numbers on May 21st from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we're going big. We're going big. We're going big with Chad Blackman. Big man. Big man, big passion, big vision. Chad Blackman, the next representative for St. James North. Go out in your numbers on May 21st and vote for Chad from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and ensure that it's not just that the deal is sealed tonight. Chad Blackman.
Big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we going big with Chad Blackman.
We're going big in St. James North with Chad Blackman. And I want to introduce our next speaker, one who is very clinical in his speeches, one who I would not like to oppose at any point of time in my life. He is a man that ripped the opposition to shreds. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a representative for St. James Central. Put your hands together and welcome Kerry Simmons.
Rock Dundo. I can't hear you. Good night, Rock Dundo. Good night, St. James North. Permit me also to wish a special good night to Mr. Ralph Thorne, who I made to understand is parked in the vehicle registration number X80, a black van under a down street halfway down the hill. Good night, Ralph. You do not have to be under the down street. We will beat you badly politically, but we are loving people. You can get out and stretch your legs and come and stand up in the crowd. No boy do nothing. You don't have to spend the night there in between the centerpiece. Get out and walk out. You all have to behave. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, I think you just heard the big voice of the man who is ready to represent St. James North. You ain't sure. I believe you heard a man who is ready to represent St. James North. And I believe now that I can hear you better that you are ready to send him to Parliament. Now, this is not a night for long speeches, and the Prime Minister follows me. But I want to say to you two key things. The first one, my friends, is that you have heard all night long, I believe I heard every speech given tonight, from Peter all the way back up to Chad just now. And you would have heard a theme of this candidate put forward by the Barbados Labour Party as being a responsible and dependable young man, a reliable young man. Speaker after speaker has told you his life history, and he himself just shared all of his passion, his thoughts, his dreams, his ambitions politically with you. Chad Blackman has opened his soul and his heart to St. James North. He has opened his soul and his heart. It is a book for you to read. You can be under no illusion about what Chad Blackman is and what he stands for. You heard Indar Weir. You heard Peter Phillips. You heard Santia. You heard all of those who spoke this evening telling you, you farm of the Barbados Labour Party leader, not satisfied, CARICOM ambassador, at an early age in life, 37 or so, sent overseas to represent Barbados at the World Trade Organization as our ambassador to Geneva. Permit me, Rock Dundo, to speak to you as Foreign Minister of Barbados. Whenever I see the lady who leads the World Trade Organization, a lady by the name of Dr. Ngozi, she begins by saying, Minister, how is my friend Chad? I miss him so much. A lovely Nigerian lady. And you heard also about his advice rendered to the head of the International Labour Organization. And in fact, the desire to keep him up there, and Mia had to work hard to get it to come back here. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing more that we can say to you about that man. But in the same way that we have presented Chad Blackman to you and opened him up for you to see him heart and soul, the same standard must be applied across the board in Barbados. And in this election, in the same way that all and sundry, whether in Dundo or Bakerswood or anywhere else in this constituency, knows who Chad Blackman is and can be under no illusion. Don't put down the camera, ain't no getting real. Under no illusion, Ralph just down there, I want him to hear me. I want him to hear me. Because he has a candidate who we need to know about. Well, I read the international news as I must. And I read the regional news as I must. And I didn't wait to be Foreign Minister to read it. So I knew in 2011 that if you watch what just happened in Canada's election, the central issue was cost of living, and made worse so by their neighbor to the south of them, a gentleman by the name of Mr. Trump. If you listen to what just happened in Trinidad and Tobago, cost of living was an issue there too. And so it is everywhere. Linda, come on here, bring me a little, that glass of water, bottle of water, please. But what I want to say to you is that we have a duty. Thank you, my dear. We have a duty to talk about cost of living within the context of how it is managed. And I know a lot of you have forgotten the record of the Democratic Labour Party. And inasmuch as my friend, Mr. Thorne, is just down the road, then I want to talk to him about what apparently he has forgotten. Because, comrades and friends, this country is not an isolated republic all by itself in the world. We have to deal with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune the same way anybody else has to. It is not my fault or mere motley fault that there was COVID, but COVID had an impact on the cost of living. It is not my fault or mere motley fault that there was a volcano in St. Vincent that erupted, that we get more ash in Barbados than St. Vincent had, but that had an impact on cost of living. It is not my fault or mere motley fault that there's a climate crisis around the world. That too has an impact on the cost of living. Let us be real. When Ralph Thorne is talking, we have now to break this thing down for everybody to understand. But I believe you understand it better than he thinks. Because in 2017 and 2016, all of you within earshot of my voice and within my eyesight were living in Barbados. And I am not going to take pupillage. I am not going to submit myself to being instructed on management of the cost of living by anybody in the Democratic Labour Party. Let us go back to 2016. Have you forgotten a thing called the NSRL? It was a National Social Responsibility Levy. Tony, you would know because you were a unionist. And in 2016, they introduced it. No, they had nothing to do with COVID. That was born and bred here in Barbados in George Street by the Democratic Labour Party. 2% on everything brought into this country and 2% on everything manufactured in this country that you were going to buy, 2% was the tax. Lord have mercy, by 2017, they went into the Parliament of Barbados and they multiplied the tax by 5 to get 10% on everything that come into this country. This is on top of that here. This is on top of that. I want you all to cast your memory back. Part of what has happened in this country is that we have been so successful as a government at rebuilding this place that people have forgotten the pain they went through. 2017, they increased that National Social Responsibility Levy by 5%. What was the consequence, Tony Moore? 21,000, you hear the figure? 21,000 people marched through the streets of the city of Bridgetown. At least, in order to try to appeal to the Front Stewart administration to roll back that cruel imposition which was stifling people in Barbados, and they have the temerity to talk about cost of living. The issue is how it is managed. When they went, Tony Moore right there, when the unions went to government headquarters and presented a petition to Front Stewart, he then wanted to come out. He was like Mr. Benwood Dick in Spar Song. You know, when he went to Mr. Benwood, he tell your daughter to come up quick. He didn't get nowhere. He was going nowhere. And then after being pressed, he need to have a little time for the want to move. They want me to ask you to have MR 424 moved as urgently as possible, please. MR 424. No, he's X80. That's not Ralph. And where was that? And he said he got to have more mature consideration and need data. People struggling in Barbados to survive. Now I want you to contrast that with the Barbados Labour Party and how Mia Motley has managed each of the crises that we have had. I am not going to run away from this because this country must come face to face with the choice that it has. A couple of weeks ago, example number one, Donald Trump told the world that if I break it down to mathematical calculations, every single container that passes through an American port would have $300 added on to the cost of its contents. What was Mia Motley's response? Not that she gonna give it mature consideration, but to get on a plane with me and then 4 other Caribbean prime ministers, and we went and had a meeting in Jamaica with the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and let him know, Skipper, if you're going down that road, effectively you will cripple and destroy Caribbean economies. Result, that tonight the United States has retreated from that position. We give them thanks for their consideration and their mature approach to this issue. That is the Labour Party way. Let's talk a little more about cost of living. Give me 2 minutes there, Peter. When we came to the point of dealing with COVID, we started with business interruption benefits for all the people, the cosmetologists, the barbers, the people running the nail salons, the taxi drivers, the fishermen, the shop owners, everybody get a business interruption benefit. But then what did we do to make sure that people like you that are the consumers were looked after? Well, I got a little less here that I walk with because I don't want to forget none, that there was a cap placed on VAT for diesel and gasoline. And let me tell you something, that cap is still in place and in effect if the cost of gasoline goes over 80 United States dollars a barrel. In Barbados today, it was reinforced by Ryan Strachan in the budget he gave a couple of weeks ago. I go further. We put zero VAT on all of the things that you purchase which are personal and critical care. So, if I go break down what personal care is, the underarm deodorant, the ladies will know what personal care is in an even more intimate way. I don't have to tell you that. And then people go take the tablets and the multivitamins and that type of thing. Indar Weir was here earlier tonight, and he would tell you that we set up a fund, a revolving fund for $2 million for all the farmers in Barbados so as to assist them with making sure that the inputs to agriculture could be purchased. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a compact with the private sector and the labor union, Tony, that we have never had in the history of Barbados before. I'm not going to be lectured by Ralph Thorne on the cost of living. We brought people into a Lara court, the business people, and told them you cannot be running markups. Your profit margin is all of 40% on some items, 35% on other items. That was the profit. I may tell them, man, bring it down to at least 10. Could Christ let us have a heart? We got to live in Barbados together. And that compact lasted 6 months at first instance. I was the commerce minister. We renewed it for a year. And tonight, as I speak to you, the elements of the compact are still in place. There's no duty on beef stew. There's no duty on oranges. There's no duty on grapefruit. There's no duty on lemons and lime. There's no duty on fresh vegetables. There's no duty on barley. There's no duty on Vienna sausages. There's no VAT on minced meat, minced turkey, sliced ham, drinking chocolate, cream of wheat, black tea, Horlicks, cornflakes, and of course honey, because we's bees and we go like after the honey. Huh? That is the way the Labour Party has responded to the question of cost of living. And when other countries saw thousands of people marching all Pakistan, all Australia, all about the world. Because of the crisis that the world is going through. War this place, famine the next place, tariffs up in North America. Every morning you wake up, you ask yourself, Lord, what will it be? Send an answer for me. But we have managed to steer this economy through because we got a leader who is relentlessly focused on the well-being of the Barbados economy. If you doubt me, look at what the international rating agencies are saying. Upgrade after upgrade after upgrade after upgrade. Downgrades was Ralph and that crowd. And relentlessly focused as well on you, the people of Barbados. You, the consumer. Now, as I tell you, there's a short address. I wish that I could really warm up. But the fact of the matter is there's a limit. But I wanted to tell you that this is just a snapshot of the issue. Because we will not retreat on some fundamentals. And the Democratic Labour Party will not drive us away from our defense and of our stewardship in this country. This country has been well managed on the critical issue that has broken the back of several governments across the world. And on the issue of cost of living, we have walked lockstep in touch with you. Whether it means to make sure that they ain't a VAT on the electricity in your house, we shielded you. As I tell you at the petrol pump, we shielded you from the full cost when St. Lucia and others were carrying that cost. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to Ralph that if you want to have an argument and a debate on this issue in this election, bring it on. I leave this place with a simple request. Do not forget the entreaty given by everybody who spoke so far tonight. Chad Blackman deserves your vote. Chad Blackman has dedicated a life to service, and he has come now to seek to culminate that journey by being your representative. He is a good man. I know that you know he is a big man with a big passion. But I want to tell you what you don't know. He is a man who is committed, dedicated, and reliable. That his word is his bond. And you, the constituent who must have that bond of trust, must now ask yourself about the other people. I will say more about the lady with the 3 names in due course. Or is it 4? 4 names. Good night and God bless you.
We going big. We going big. We going big. Go big or go home. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. His talent and ability beyond his years maturity. With the whole lot of love for this country, you don't know Chad Blackman is ready. And with a whole lot of knowledge, bright and so innovative. For all the St. James of Massive, a great representative. Big man, big heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion. We going big with Chad Blackman. Committed, hardworking, dedicated. We going big with Chad Blackman. We going big with Chad. We going big with Chad.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from Kerry Simmons. Here comes now, ladies and gentlemen, our political leader, Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley, fit as a fiddle. She's led this government, led this country over the past 7 years. The lady on a mission, Prime Minister Mia Amor Motley. She's going big with Chad as well. And big for Barbados.
Say
Good night. Good night to the people of Rock Dundo. Good night to the people of St. James North. Good night to the people of Barbados. You know, 2025 today, before I start, I want to just say a few words that I have no doubt that despite the lateness of the hour, will find their way into the ears of our young kids, our young children in this country. Many of whom took the common entrance today between the ages of 10 or 11, some at 9, some at 12, because we moved to give them that flexibility many years ago. And I want to say to you that in spite of the fact that you do not know where you will be going to school come September, and the people in the bar already left school already, so you could ask them to give us a chance. Thank you. And this is not for you, because I want to reinforce for the children of this country that whatever school you pass for, it will be a good school. And the teachers of this good land will make sure, along with all that we do, that you can become the best that you can be in this country. And I didn't say so idly, but I understand that at this delicate age, and that is why we don't believe that everything should rest on an exam alone. One single day cannot define the life of a child. But I want you, the young kids of this country, to know that we will work and to put things in place to give you the best possible education that you can get in Barbados, because you deserve it, and that is why we have come to work each and every day. And I want, at this stage, to ask Chad Blackman to join me on this platform, because I have come here tonight to talk about the two A words: accountability and accessibility. But I could even make it a third and talk about approachability. This man here has been a young man whose journey I have watched. And when many of you hear me speak about global citizen with Bajan roots, in many parts I was talking about Chad and men and women like Chad. And that is why when I became in charge of the government, I did not have any compunction about asking this young man to stand up and serve and become our ambassador to Geneva, to the WHO, the World Health Organization, to the World Trade Organization, and many others. Too many to call here now. But equally, when we determined that we were likely to have to begin to plot a way after what was not just simply a restructuring, Chad, but then, as you heard from Kerry tonight, when COVID stepped in, I knew that I had a responsibility to Barbados to ask Chad Blackman to come home and to start to do the heavy lifting as a big man in this country again. And Chad, I have watched you. I have walked with you. I have listened to you. I am truly, truly touched by how approachable and how accessible you have been. I am touched by your heart and the feelings that you have for ordinary people, irrespective of class or age or gender. And I want to stand here tonight, the physical appearance of both of us. Yes, both of us big, so don't mind. But with the bigness, would I get enough?
Very true.
Enough. But I want to stand here tonight with him to let you know that I cannot be more proud of the person who we have brought to the people of St. James North than I am tonight with Chad Blackman. Thank you, my brother. And as I said today when we left the nomination, when the press asked me what I had to say, I said, if Chad remains as humble as he has been, if he remains as approachable as he has been, as dependable as he has been, as hardworking as he has been, then he will let the people of St. James North know why I have confidence in him. And hopefully they too then will understand why they should have confidence in this man. Thank you, my brother, and just keep being you. Nobody else, nothing else. And let me say before he leaves here, I want to commend him for risking himself. I know what it is to have a challenge with size and weight too, as do many of you. And for him to recognize that he cannot separate his life and his challenges from you and his representation of you is so commendable that I don't even know how to express it, my brother. Because you don't get nothing unless you risk something. And what he risks today is more than gold. What he risked today was himself and his soul, and saying to you, look, even as I represent you, there are some challenges that I have, and that I recognize that if I am to do the distance with you, you and us can do and conquer these challenges together. Thank you, my brother, for being you, and stay you always. Thank you. Now, my friends, I said that I was going to talk about accessibility and accountability because we have throughout come to you to be faithful to a mandate that you gave us. And as fate would have it, 3 days after the election in this constituency will be the 7th anniversary of this government coming to office and receiving the mandate. And in these 7 years, I have tried to make sure that the government that I lead is accessible always, even in the deepest depths of COVID. But especially since then, people ask, even outside of Barbados, well, how do you go to a different parish every month? I say, well, not every month because we give people Christmas off. But January to November. Nothing to do with an election, but simply to remain accessible to you, the people, because if we are not hearing you, we can't listen to you. And therefore, whether it is in coming to St. James and hearing the testimony of a lady who, through no fault of her own, caught a virus as a result of, she was told by her doctors, the overgrown bush next to the lot that she lived on. And we promised at the Frederick Smith Secondary School that the government would go and develop legislation that would make people in this country accountable for their actions, because years ago we didn't need to do it by law because people did it naturally. You clean up around you, you clean up what you had. But But today you live in a different time. And if we had to do what we did it because we came and we listened. And I want to say to that lady today, we don't have the tradition as they do in the US of naming legislation after people. But if we did, this would be hers. Because she was the one who, through her, like Chad tonight, opening up and telling us what happened to her life all of a sudden and how and why, that we determined that we were not going to allow this if we could help it, because we're not God, but we want to be able to help it wherever we can. We came to you and we heard you say that you wanted a chance for your children again to be able to go to university. And we have had to work hard, and let me tell you how hard it is. Because it is almost $200 million a year between the economic costs and the tuition fees. And to give you context, up until this year, before this year, 200 million was about 40% of what we collect in corporation taxes alone. So that when we said to you that we were going to do what we had to do to put your children back at university, we knew that we would have to work hard to be able to make this country work again, so that your children and grandchildren can be the best that they can be and can live in a Barbados that gives them a chance regardless of where they were born. And that is why, as Minister of Education, I listened to Chad. He resigned last night, but you got to give him back to me. Only you can give him back to me. He had to resign last night. But when he understands what education means and how it unleashes possibilities for people that would otherwise be tied in chains, then I say to you that this government, in listening to you, did the right thing. But if we were not accessible and we were not listening to you, we couldn't do it. And that is why when I say to you that we are prepared to be accountable for our record, but more importantly, to be accountable going forward. Because none of you in here would want to see us reverse what we have been able to restore with education, do you? And we did all of this in spite of being in the IMF program and in spite of having COVID thrust upon us. But it didn't stop there. We, in spite of those difficulties, started a Barbados Youth Advanced Corps program so that your children, when leaving school, can come and go into the Youth Advanced Corps and get access to training. And we didn't do it in the small numbers that I used to fret about when I was a minister. We have committed that 1,000 people per year, that is our target. And when we get there, they stay for 2 years, and we will have 2,000 young people training them in this country. Sandra spoke tonight about the training courses at the National Transformation Initiative. Over 14,000 Bajans benefited from it since we've been in office. It didn't exist under the last government. Let's go on. You heard Santia talk tonight to you about how difficult it was for us to be able to put our act together and to get the roads together. Let's be real. How many people in here can tell me the last time Dundo Road paved? I know that I used to go to Kerry Simmons from a child, and he lived down the road, and that this road was bad for as long as I can remember. And let me give you the difference, because most governments would have said a lot of people don't live on the whole road, and therefore they ain't giving this the same priority that they can give roads in Christchurch and St. Philip and St. Michael. And this government said no. There are people who have been living there for decades. And I want to thank Edmund Hinkson in his absence tonight for his voice continuously representing the needs of the people, not just of Dundo, but across St. James North, to the point where Eddie ended up probably with more roads than anybody else, Santia. Over 16 roads. And this is in spite of being in the IMF program. But why? Because we were determined to be accountable to you. And the work is not over. So that when we say we are listening, up to today, I met with Santia and we agreed that the request for registration will go out this weekend for those companies in Barbados that can do small roads and village roads and tenantry roads. Because we are at a stage now. Last year I told you things were a little better than we expected. And therefore, whenever we have that improvement, it means that we can turn around and do a little something for you. The truth is that when COVID came, as you heard Kerry speak, we had to turn around and put money to shield you from a lot of the cost of living increases that you would otherwise be exposed to. So that when we shut down and put a cap on duties for containers coming through the port, even though the container prices went skyrocket all through the roof, you didn't feel it because we shielded you from it. We listened to you and we shielded you. When we put a cap on electricity with VAT at 10%, up to a certain amount of electricity, you didn't feel it because we shielded you. When we turned around and we did the compact, you didn't feel it because we shielded you. And as recent as this year, when we saw the chances of not just the risk of the fines on ships made in China docking in American ports, but we saw everything else that was happening globally, we turn around and add a whole host of other things that you have been asking for to be in the basket of goods, to be exempt from duties, from stew beef to the Horlicks, to the pineapples, to the pears, and I don't mean avocados. And I can go on and on. But it wasn't only in shielding you from prices. You heard Colin Jordan come on this platform tonight and tell you what we were able to do to give you, the public servants of this country, not one, not two, but 3 wage increases in less than 7 years when you couldn't even get a single one from the government in 8 years and 9 years before the last government left. They were not in an IMF program. They did not face COVID. But in spite of all of that, we have done it because we are listening to you. And we understand that even though we have done much, and even though it has been hard, that we will continue to do because we understand that if we carry the weight together and if we trust one another to move this weight together, we can make it through this very, 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 very difficult time. And now is not a time for us to be paying and playing with our future. Now is not that time. So that I ask you, my friends, to appreciate that it wasn't only in the wage increases that we were listening. How many people would stand by at a shop and hear construction men complain that 1 or 2 companies paying them up here and the rest of them taking them for a ride and not giving them the same thing? Or that the conditions in the hotel industry and the tourism sector are so disparate that some getting through and some ain't getting through at all. If we were not listening to you, we would not be in a position to respond to all of these things, my friends. And I want you to know that it is only because you have had the courage to speak with us that this relationship becomes more real and makes it purposeful. When we turned around, Indar told you tonight that when we started talking to the farmers and begin to understand the challenges that they're facing with the extreme drought to the extreme flooding. Only then would a government then turn around and find ways of being able to make funds available so that you don't only have to rely on outdoor farming as we have right above me on this site, but that you can also do the vertical farming so that you can protect yourself from the elements. And then when the same thing happened with the poultry sector, and the number of birds start dying, especially in the August and September months, we recognize that if we don't do something to bridge the gap, to allow those who are in poultry farming to meet the needs of the country by overcoming the challenges of the climate, they would not get anywhere. So, my friends, this by-election is about a government and a party that says to you that whether rain comes or sun shines, that we have asked to be able to make your life the best that we can make it. And God knows that the last 6 years and change, 7 years almost, have been difficult. They have been challenging. And many of you have faced it. It hit you with your own mortality with COVID. It hit you in your pockets. It is hitting you in ways where you start to question things. But what you have had the benefit of is a government that is prepared to stand up and protect and fight for you as we have done for the last 7 years. And I ask you to recognize in Chad Blackman that I am not simply bringing a representative to you. I am bringing a man who will fight for you and who will defend you and who will promote the best for you in this constituency. And he hasn't waited to be elected to do that. When he launched the Tech Hub with the little children last week, he was forecasting for all of us that unless we get our children ready and be prepared to take on a new world. How many of us had this 15 years ago or 20 years ago? Very few. But now you give this phone to a little child and they make it look as though they've been using it for all their lives and you don't even know what you're doing with it. That's a fact. But I am saying to you that he is not only throwing out all that went before. He's not doing that. He's saying to you that who you are as a person matters. His humility. You saw him in church 2 Sundays ago drumming with the worship team. He prepared himself for this moment. When he goes in, castries as you would call it down in the garden, and talk patois, you would begin to say, what this man can't do? What this man can't do? Because it was as if he was prepared for such a time as this. And when you look at his history, which you have heard about tonight from this platform, from the Young Socialists, to the Youth Development Council, to CARICOM Youth Ambassador, to the Parish Independence Committee, he didn't start up there. He started where many of you are already engaging across your communities, so that when he listens to you, he allows this party to be more accessible in the same way that we have tried to be from the Parish Speaks to the Ideas Forum, to change in how Parliament meets. You heard me talk about the Bush legislation, the child justice, the child protection. You will have people come and tell you, this government don't talk to us. How you could know about it when people come in Parliament? The same person who running against Chad come in Parliament and get a chance to say what I had to say on the child justice and the child protection legislation. The same person. And then you will have us as a government, prime ministers before me would choose judges, would choose a head of state. I said, no. No one person should be choosing judges or choosing a head of state. passed legislation to let people come and advise me as Prime Minister as to who should be a judge in this country. And the people are former Chief Justices, former presidents of the Caribbean Court of Justice, representative of the bar, representative of civil society. But you will hear people tell you, the government don't listen, the government can't hear. When we became a republic, one of the acts of which I am proudest that this government was able to achieve in 2021, we moved the appointment of the head of state from the choice of a prime minister to now a parliament having to determine on a 2/3 majority, because the person must represent the best of all that this country stands for. And that is why I ask you tonight in this by-election, apart from the energy that Chad brings, and I'm going to talk more about that, for you to recognize that the most two important things is people who are accessible to you. The Labour Party come and set up a platform here tonight. You can touch me. You can touch Chad. You can hug us. The Dems hiding behind a Zoom platform every night. You can't touch them. You know where they are. You know if they're in Barbados or Zimbabwe. Swear to God. Accountability. When we told you that we would do the things that we are doing, we have done them. And as fate would have it, we didn't expect COVID, as you heard. So that everything that we thought we could have went further ahead with, we had to pause for almost 3 more years. And when I tell you that for the first 2 years it was fighting debt, and for the next 3 years it was about COVID, believe you me, that the first real hand that we have had to play shots is in the last 2 years in this government. And in spite of that, you could get 16 roads done in St. James North. In spite of that, you can turn around and have your children go to university without worrying whether you got the money to pay for them or not. In spite of that, we have been able to bring unemployment in this country down to 7.1% as we speak. The only time it has ever been lower is in December 2007 under then Barbados Labour Party government. And if God gives us the will, you will see it go below 7.1% because you deserve jobs in this country. The investments that have come, nobody in the tourism sector can tell you that they have ever known a time when more hotels are building in this country. And everybody now that you have the investments, the other side wants to poo-poo them as if they don't matter. If it didn't matter, why were they fighting for it? And why were they crying about the fact that they couldn't get it and that Bajans were suffering and couldn't get jobs? Because they know it matters. And if it is not in hotel building, you have construction in housing all across this country. More houses have been built in the last few years than under the Democratic Labour Party. Don't get tied up. And when I say these things to you, it is because in spite of all that we have done, I know that there is still more to be done. I know that in spite of all that we have done, and Eddie will tell you about the deal that we have put in place for the disabled community. Government has never been brave enough in this country to do it because they know it costs. But we have said, irrespective of the cost, you treat the least among you who are capable of doing virtually nothing through to no fault of their own. You treat them with respect and care and empathy. And this government has done it. It has put its head down. We're not perfect. Never will be. That's for the divine. But what we are is a government that is listening and a government that is working for you each and every day to make it better for you. And if you ask yourselves, are you better today than you were 7 years ago? When you had little or no hope. And if you ask yourself, because we're not arrogant, that can you believe that we can still do more and better? And if the answer is yes, then I say, give me Chad to lift some heavy weight, because a big man can lift a lot of heavy weight. That is what I ask you to do for me. Because I know that with the people who are capable and with the attribute of listening, of being accessible, they just come from Ralph Carr, don't mind that. I was listening to Kerry. But with those attributes, you will continue to move from strength to strength. And why is all of this important? My friends, the world in which we live is not one that any of us contemplated. And we don't know what will happen. But those in St. James North who like to go to the ocean know that sometimes when the sea is choppy, you have to do what? Respect it. And when you respect it, you can even navigate your way right through where you need to go. The world is going through choppy seas. Choppy seas. And therefore, this notion that you can play light and that you can give away your vote because you want somebody to tell you something about I don't know what. Because all they hear them doing is complain, complain, complain. That is not going to help you when I tell you that we need Chad to lift heavy weight. And when I heard Chad last night at the opening of the branch office express a level of gratitude to his parents to the point where his voice broke and tears came down his face as he reflected on the sacrifices that his parents made, I knew that we were dealing with the real thing, like Coca-Cola, the real thing. He may like Coca-Cola, but he is Coca-Cola because he's the real thing. When I heard him last night speak in those ways, I said to myself quietly, you have not made a wrong step. And I want you over the course of the next 2 weeks. Today is the first day of the formal campaign. This is not a national campaign, but you can't divorce it from some of the national issues. But we will continue to make sure that we will be accessible to you and that we will be accountable to you. And if you doubt it, just remember what has happened in the last 7 years where we have done so. I ask you tonight to go to your neighbor and have the conversations and to begin to discuss what you would like, not just for your community, but for you to work with Chad to be able to do for your community. This is not about an election. You heard him tonight. This is about a movement. And this is about trying to bridge the gap between all of the different elements that St. James North has. Those in agriculture, those in tourism, those in small business, those in the services sector, those who have a little more, those who have a little less, those in the churches and those in the mosque, those all over. Because only in bringing all of us together will we get the solidarity that we need to bring this country through. And my friends, when we were asked, therefore, what do we want more with the accessibility and the accountability, we knew always it would be heart and it would be passion. And I would not bring anybody to you, the people of St. James North, that do not and would not reflect a big heart and big passion. When I watch him interact with you, when I see you hug him, when I see you smile with him, I know that you too have come to that realization. And as it relates to this party and this government, you know, Taras Riley had a song that I want you to remember. It's not the one that I used in a campaign a few years ago, but it is one that is reflective of our circumstances, that we've been together for a while now, growing stronger every day now. Feels so good, and there is no doubt that we will stay with you. As each morning brings the sunrise and the flowers bloom in springtime, on our loving you can rely, because we will stay with you. Through your ups and downs, God knows we have had our downs, and God knows we are on our ups now. And God knows that when no one else is around, and when no one else can be there for you, we in the Barbados Labour Party will be there for you. And when I say there, it is only a big man that can lift heavy weight. And I've said that to you. So, as you realize that, I ask you now for the favor that it is only enough of you that can lift up a big man. Not 5, not 10, not 500, not 1,000, not 2,000, but enough of you, one by one, coming out in your numbers, can lift up Chad Blackman. And I say to you that I know that with as much gray hair as I got, 10 and 20 years from now, when I come back to you, the people of St. James North, you will tell me, as with Raul Eastman, as with Edmund Hinkson, we have made a choice that has gone from better to better to better to better to better. And with Chad Blackman, you will be the beneficiaries of that. But equally Barbados, because if you give him to me, then you allow me to put him to work for the rest of Barbados as well, just as he represents you. Ladies and gentlemen, on May 21st, I want you to recognize that every vote counts. I do not want you telling me about Chad win already or the BLP win already. I have never seen a ballot box open with ballots in it. And the only way a big man can be lifted up is if enough of you come out from 6 in the morning to 6 in the evening. And now is the time for the next 2 weeks for us to remind first-time voters, for us to remind older voters, when you take your pen out and you put it on that ballot paper, do not let the X touch the lines. Put it next to Chad Blackman. And when you do that, just as you will have given praise for a better Labour Party, I swear to you, you will have for you one of the best representatives that Barbados will have in its parliament. Good night and God bless you all.
I will stay with you. Oh, I will stay with you through your ups and your downs. I will stay with you when no one else is around. And when the dark clouds arrive, I will stay by your side. And I know we'll be alright. I will stay with you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from our Prime Minister. We want to thank you for coming out in your numbers tonight. Please be advised that our next meeting is on Thursday at Husbands Road, The Garden. We look for you to turn out in your numbers. Thank you, St. Lucie. Thank you, people of St. James North. Turn out in your numbers again on Thursday night. The campaign has just begun. We're going to get some more energy as we go with the big man with big passion for St. James North. Get home safely. Good night. God bless you.
You don't know Chad Blackman is ready. I'm with a whole lot of knowledge. Bright and so innovative. heart, big action. We going big with Chad Blackman. Big man, big vision, big passion.